We're going to get started. Just real quick, so I can try to speak specifically to industries. I know we have cabin rentals, we have hotels, real estate. Am I missing anything?
Christmas place.
You're kind of everything with that. Retail?
Christmas place.
Okay. So
Art and fashion.
art and fashion. Okay, well that's an easy one on Pinterest. That's perfect. A little bit about us. The big thing, of course, we use social media, SEO, and all the things in online marketing. Which there's some stuff in your folder about that. But the big thing we're about is tracking, not just old school analytics of doing, like unique visitors and who comes to the site and how long they stay. Those are all great, but the big thing is money, because that's what we're all in business for. And without that, we go out of business. So we can track revenue online and offline. So that's the big thing that separates us. So everything we do, we can track money, and we track conversions and do tests to see, A/B tests to see which converts the best, those kind of things. So there's things we do: creative design, search engine optimization, email marketing, of course, social media, big into Facebook. So Pinterest. So is everybody here familiar? Do we need to spend a lot of time on the basics of what it is? Basically, it's just a way of collecting and organizing bookmarks per se, but it's a lot more interesting. The thing that amazes me is Flickr's been around forever, and we've done some stuff on it, but it never was social, and everybody's social now, which is not now, but they've always been social. Now online's catching up to it. So it's really, don't overcomplicate it. It's just really bookmarks of things people like and share, and we all like to share and be a part of that socially, and people like to view what people like. So this is actually from the founder of Pinterest there. We wanted to create a place where you can go to upload or collect things on the web and simply organize them the way you want to. So that was kind of their mission. That's from them. So what is it? Pinterest is a content curation platform which allows users to organize and share beautiful and interesting content they find on the web. Think of it as a bookmarking site. We kind of covered that. Content is organized. There's some terms we'll need to know. We'll go through kind of the separation of what the terms are. Content is organized in boards that work as categories. Each piece of content is called a pin. People can like your pins, or they can repin them on their boards, comment on them, and share on Facebook and Twitter. It's very heavily integrated with Facebook and Twitter. You can follow people, and they can follow you, kind of like the Twitter thing, but a little bit different. Same concept and basics of it. It's just managed a little bit differently. The big thing about it is we were kind of late on it, I hate to say. I started watching it in December, but we actually have a platform that monitors social media sites. We monitor over 500. And when it popped up, I was like, oh, great, here we go, another one. Because we haven't really figured out for B2C how to really make money with Twitter. So I thought this is going to be like a Twitter for images. It's like, they always call Twitter Facebook without the fun. And then I thought, well, okay, this is going to be like that. So we watched it, and it was kind of taking off a little fast, but 3 or 4 million users is pretty easy to get, but then they really took off. So we were kind of late on that, but it has become the fastest website to ever hit 10 million unique visitors. And this is old data, because I started working on this 3 weeks ago, and it's even, it's now the #3 site, which we'll talk about here in just a second. So terms you need to know: a pin is an image added to Pinterest. A pin board is a set of theme based, so it's like a category, if you will, of your own. Pinning is an act usually of sharing content. And all this, if you don't take notes, there's stuff there to take notes, but you'll get the slide deck if you want in a PDF format, so you'll be able to do that. A repin is reposting somebody else's pin. The pin it button is a social integration we're going to talk heavily on in the end because it's huge. And then a pinner is the person who does the sharing. So what can you get? Leads, links is great for SEO. A lot of their links, like when you upload one, we'll go through a demo of that in a minute, but when you upload a photo, you can put in a link. That is a no-follow. For SEO, it helps in the social realm of SEO, but not necessarily organic SEO, unless it's tied to socially by the search engine. Yeah. So, but if you actually put the link in the description, it is a follow. They'll probably stop that soon, and then obviously traffic, social sharing, and conversions make money, which is what we're really here for. So stats. So what's the big deal? A picture is worth 1,000 words. This is some stats on, you know, things in the media, those kind of things, top 50 websites. And really, they didn't start taking off until December. I'll show you the trend line of that in just a minute. So driving traffic, YouTube, Google+, LinkedIn, and Reddit combined, they are now, Rich, I said this is old data. They're actually above all. They're now number 3 position. That was in January. This is updated statistics. I updated last night just so it was current. Pinterest now the number 1 most popular social network in the U.S. behind Facebook and Twitter. And there's the user count. So they're very close to Twitter already in a very short amount of time, less than a year. So the demographics, which is great for travel and probably fashion, because we're after a female market. And this has actually changed. It was like 80-20 probably 2 months ago. It was 80% female, which was great for travel. 40% male, 60% female, and there's the demographics on the age. And once again, this probably won't normalize for another couple months because it's drastically changed. Then it'll normalize. Like Facebook, they can grab another 100 million users and nothing changes really. The time on site's really good. Same as in, you know, most social sites, Facebook and Twitter. That's old data too. Literally, if we did this 2 weeks from now, the data would be like ridiculously old because they're growing so fast. So who is using it compared to the U.S.? That data you saw before was international, global data. This is U.S. only segmented out. So we're still 83-56. So how old are they? And once again, this is U.S. data. The largest group is going to be 35 to 44. And how are people pinning? The biggest is going to be a repin. And then the pin marklet is, we'll show you that. That's the integration. When you're on a website and it says pin it, that's the pin marklet. And then other is the uploads and those kind of things. And other ways that it can be sent in through other type of social integration. But the biggest thing to show there is not, the repin's the biggest thing. So to get something to go viral, if you have original content, you can get repinned. That's the way to go. But if a business just repins, that's something you need to do to show you're part of the community. But you don't necessarily want to just not use original content for that. Because since the biggest market is repinning, that's what you want them to do is repin your stuff so it goes viral. Or at least get some traffic. So how do you get started with this? It's still invite only. And it used, when we got their account, it took like 3 days to get the invite. I did one last Tuesday and heard nothing yet. So to do that, if you haven't, just go to Pinterest and get an invite started. Wait patiently, cross your fingers, speedy invite. So once the account is activated, you can optimize your Pinterest profile, choose your company name as your username, and complete your profile information. So this is very important that we've actually seen one that we took over. Be sure you keep the hide your Pinterest profile from search engines checked off, because you won't get any of the SEO benefits from it if you do. So that's what a user profile looks like. And once again, keep in mind, just like Facebook with EdgeRank, in the recent activity, you'll want to remember that's a feed. So if you post 10 things at one time, you're going to fill up the feed and it looks kind of spammy. And you want to break that out over time so you're constantly in the feed, just like Facebook with EdgeRank. They do not have, that we can tell, any type of algorithm that's actually loading this up like Facebook does. So it really is just as they come in, they get pushed down. Where Facebook actually will hold stuff up with EdgeRank. Watermark your photos on your website, because when people repin it, they like see this wonderful thing that you have to offer, and then they go, where'd it come from? So be sure you do a simple watermark, but don't make it spammy. It is social. And of course, Pinterest etiquette, as with any site built around content creation, be sure that you're not, self-promoting yourself. The objective of social is to build a relationship. Then you'll get business. It's old school. We do trade shows and stuff all the time, and we'll have an older guy or lady come up and say, we're not doing anything social. This is so new to us. So we don't really understand it. And I was like, you understand it better than any of us, because it's old school business. It's just online. Because online's finally catching up to the other. Avoid self-promotion, we just talked about. Share things you love. Basically, I mean, if you really like it and you think your friends will like it, so will your user base. So if it's a bad photo, don't use it. If it's ugly, don't use it. Make interesting things, because it's all through the photo. And also share in the community. Be sure you're going out and liking other people's stuff, repinning their stuff, so you're part of that. Can you just pin photos? Nope. You can also do videos, which is one of the probably the biggest underrated ones, because not a lot of people are doing it. So when people look for videos, it's easier to show up because there's less of them being done. And it'll only do YouTube. It won't do Vimeo or anything like that. Remember, the quality of the photo is the content. So everybody's like, oh, I want to write the best content, the most interesting content. Well, here you're not writing content. It's the photo is the content. So the better the photo. So if you have bad photos on your site and people are repinning them, they're not going to get much. But I'm just saying, if you actually do the integration of the pin it button on your website and you have bad photos and people are repinning those all the time, then you're pushing out this, and you can't take that off. I mean, it's content you can't ever take back. So I wouldn't push it out too much. I wouldn't get too aggressive in Pinterest until I had really good photos and those kind of things. Now, if you don't have really good photos and you have a few but not your whole website's that way, then just do the uploads. Don't do social integration yet, which will kind of hurt you. But so how do you monetize it? Have patience, track all you can, try new things, A/B test. If you're not familiar with A/B test, that's when you try 2 different things and see which one converts better. Develop KPIs, key performance indicators. Like what do they need to do? And that's going to change per industry. But to answer the question, Pinterest does not have any insights or analytics. Well, the KPIs you won't be able to track, the revenue and the other, you'll be able to track traffic, bounce, unique visitors, time on site. If you have e-commerce enabled to track online revenue, or if you do online revenue, obviously real estate does not. Fashion might if you sell it online. Retail, I know you all do, for sure. Then yes, you can track those things on the money level. Offline you can do phone tracking. But as far as the KPIs to make that happen, like we know in Facebook, we've got to get this much engagement to make this happen, and that turns into money. So the KPIs, which I have a solution for that. They do not have analytics. We've talked about that. They do not have an API either, so you can't build anything off of it. Because ideally what you'd have with like an API is, one, you can pull this data like you can with Facebook. Second is when you load a new cabin, when you load a new product, it would automatically put it on Pinterest through the API. So it's constant. But we did find some solutions. Pinnerly.com and Pinreach.com. Pinnerly is by invite only, trying to be cool like Pinterest. And then Pinreach just says, hey, log in. So now we have some analytics because Pinterest doesn't. So we can say that we have to get X amount of followers to a board with X amount of pins or repins to equal where we start making money. Now this is where, if you run a contest, you can self-promote. Typically you would not do this crazy, call us kind of thing, but it was a contest, so it was worth it. And of course they have videos in here, and then you can see where people are commenting, liking, repinning. So this is the great places to stay bored. But they have like their cabins. There's 940 followers, 301 pins on this board. So the analytics goes pretty deep. You got trending members, recently checked, so you can find influencers and target them just like you can get trending pins. So I mean, it's really, they've taken a lot of stuff from you got the trending on Twitter, you've got all those kind of things to help viral stuff. I don't know of anybody, apparently may have it to where, like, we use tools on Facebook to identify influencers. One of free ones for basic. I don't think it's that great, but if you want something free, Bushaka. It'll actually, it has an algorithm that ranks likes and comments, and it'll give them a score. So then you can see, who's the biggest influencer over time, by day, by month, by year, and then you can go out and get those people to do things. So that's how. But the KPIs are huge in the beginning, but they're hard to do. So that's why if you really get this figured out soon, you've already got it figured out in your head of the game. And there's also the early adoption. Anytime you early adopt something that's growing that fast, the big thing is, like, the adoption rate of business is like this, but the adoption rate of the user base is like this, so you've got a bigger market to get. Where Facebook, everybody's there. So you have to be like really good at it. Here, you can just throw a bunch of stuff and see what works, and you're still going to get results. Where Facebook, you got to be a little more strategic because everybody who doesn't have a Facebook account. So everybody does, but Pinterest is, businesses mostly don't. And if they do, they're probably on a wait list. Showcase your products and importantly their prices. This will not apply. I do not recommend this for lodging at this current time. I do recommend it for fashion and I do recommend it for retail for certain. Because you can actually sort by price. So if you're like, show me all the, Christmas ornaments or whatever, then you can actually sort those by price and people use that function. And if you don't have the price in there, you'll sort dead last. So that'll help you show up closer. So be sure you put the price in when you're uploading those. So watermark all the photos we talked about, but remember only if it's good photos. Don't get a bunch of junk because then people look at it as like, this place is boring. And eventually they'll come up with something like EdgeRank to where your feed and where you rank on the site and search goes along with, like a click-through rate per se of pins and repins and followers. So don't destroy yourself before you get started. Add follow me and pin buttons to your site. Ask people to follow you. Typically, just ask. Like a lot of people, you just ask. I was actually shocked at how many people had it. Because when we did theirs, we just asked, hey, try this. And it was huge. So how do you get followers? You hire us. Nah. Here's some strategies to get followers. Just like any social network, building reach via follower base is key to long-term sustainability for the network as a traffic lead source. Pinterest functions differently than typical follower world. We know in Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn, for example, on Pinterest there are 2 follower options a user can take when liking a piece of content. A person can follow a specific board or a user's account. Like notice right here, this is a board, has 940 followers with 301 pins. So I can just follow this board or I can follow everything TimberTops has or GE has or whoever has. So it's 2 different types. Where in Facebook you just got a follower. Twitter, a like. And Twitter you just got a follower. Here they can do it on the board level or on the account level. And you want probably both. So when you're following a board like this, you will only be notified via your stream when a user pins a new piece or content to that board. When you're following a user, you'll be notified every time someone pins content to their boards. So here, it's just going to show up in your feed. So if we post this, 940 people will show it in their feed. But if we had 2,000 of the actual account, we're actually sending 2,000 emails out and saying, hey, we just posted new content. So they'll only know if you add something to the board. So you really want to try to get both, but in a perfect world, you probably just want to get the one, because then they'll get everything you get. But you don't want to bombard it either. Make the best boards by pinning a specific topic by taking this approach. We made a lot of mistakes in this beginning. We've got other accounts. I'm just referencing theirs because they actually have data to look at that's actually pretty accurate because there's enough of it to call it accurate. So the big thing that we made a mistake of on this is because the feed, we uploaded all the content at one time. Not all, but we uploaded a ton of content within 2 or 3 days. So do it over time. Don't do it all at once. Like with your products, how many products do you have in retail? Tens of thousands? Yeah. Don't do those all at once. Do them over time. So you're constantly in people's feeds. And then be sure it's interesting stuff. If it's a small little thumbnail or something, don't do that. It has to be interesting. Remember, that is the context of it. And it doesn't have to be necessarily related with just, like with retail, you could say like, just because you do Christmas stuff, you could also do stuff around Christmas. Like great ideas to do things out and about, those kind of things. Committing to create the best board on a topic means being ready to promote other users' pins as well. So you want to find the people who are doing what you do, and it sounds kind of weird because they're in the same competitive industry. Like, you all actually want to engage with them and vice versa. In this instance, it's not that spammy, but on Facebook it is. Like, if John with Any Bellums were to go to TimberTops page and post, hey, love your cabins, and they'll go and they'll be like on John, we'll post something on his Facebook page, and then they'll go in and say, hey, nice, great weather here in the Smokies or something, and then that's just spammy. But here, all you're doing is you're liking something they posted. So that's actually good if you go, if you find people in the fashion world or real estate world that they have nice stuff, liking their stuff, following them, because then their users are going to see you also, and it's probably, if they like them, they'll probably like you. Promote through other channels. The fast way to jumpstart for Pinterest is to promoting through other platforms. Once again, we keep pushing the social integration, which we'll go through. I'll show you in here. Promote your presence on Pinterest through other social networks such as Facebook. Just going to Facebook and saying, hey, if you're on Pinterest, come join us. Contest always works well. There's no real way to manage contests yet like you can on Facebook and Twitter. Engage with other pins. We just talked about that. Start following users you think that you would want to follow you back. Kind of like Twitter. A lot of times you'll follow somebody, they'll follow you back. Common mistakes made: not having photos on sites watermarked, loading too many photos at one time, assuming Pinterest is just another site, not adding Pinterest integration soon enough, not putting URLs in photos, not adding videos. So the other thing is, like, to inspire people, like with a photo, you know, something interesting about Christmas or fashion. It might not be you, but then to drive them, for them to like what you have up. Same thing, obviously, with lodging. You know, great photos of the Smoky Mountains, and the more unique the content, the better. So if you have to hire a photographer to go out and shoot for a day or two, it's probably worth it, because that's your content. Same as paying somebody to write a blog for you. So the big question, like Facebook and everything else, when do you post? When do you get the best engagement? We use EdgeRank to figure out when's the best time to post, because it changes every day, when to post, what to post. But once again, Pinterest is too new. There's no tools to do that yet. But this was a recent study by Pinterly, the company who has all this data, so they can actually look at it, but they don't have a way to tell you when it's best for you to post. So keep in mind, this is data from anybody using Pinterly, the analytics tool. So this is not specific to your business. And like literally, the time we post for them and what we post for them on a certain day is totally different from them. They're in the same market, business segment. So it totally changes. And it evolves over time. The larger your fan base is, as it grows, the types of people you attract, that changes completely over time. So don't get dead set on this. This is just an idea to get started. Which is nothing new to us, because if you post on Craigslist or anything, this is the time to do it. Because we have a philosophy from our data that basically this is what people do when they come to work. They show up at work, they check their email, then they do a little bit of work. About 30 to 45 minutes before lunch, they go to the internet and play on Facebook, Craigslist, and all those things. Then they go to lunch. Then they come back and do a little work. Then they sit there for the next 2 hours waiting to get off work, and then they go home. And that's literally, if you look at our data from Craigslist and when we post, it all lines up with that's when these people are doing it. So they really only work about 4 hours a day. 2 hours before lunch, 2 hours after lunch. That's it. The other 4 hours, they're doing basic. So the best time to post in the evening is 8 p.m. to 1 a.m. Obviously, they've had dinner, they've watched, they're actually settled down. Yeah. So best time to post during the day is 2 to 4. And then a call to action, pin description sees an 80% increase in engagement. Tutorial guide, do-it-yourself recipe pin, see a 40% higher click-through rate to the website. And then pins related to trending topics. I think they'll have some location-based marketing available soon. When you're on the iPhone app, whenever you pin something, it actually shows where you are. Kind of like some location-based marketing, like Foursquare, Facebook check-in, those kind of things. So I think it'll be one day where you're out shopping and you're like, oh, I love this purse. And then next thing you know, it shows where you're at. But it's not quite there yet across the whole thing. So pin it, add links. They have a plug-in toolbar too, by the way, if you're running Firefox. I think they have one for Chrome. But it's a toolbar you can plug in that makes it a lot easier for you to share your own stuff. Grab that. Just go to their website and download it. In fact, link to Twitter, link to Facebook, hide. I don't recommend linking it to Facebook if you're going to be extremely active. Like if you're going to do 2 or 3 things a day, it's okay. But if you're going to do, you know, a lot of stuff, don't link it to Facebook, because Twitter, if you post 5,000 times a day, no one thinks you're crazy. If you do that on Facebook, people are like, nuh-uh. So to get to where I'm talking about with all these bookmarks, you go to About and the Pin It button, and then it'll take you there. And this will do the iPhone app, and here's all the buttons to put in. So key takeaways: ensure the visual content of your site is pinnable. And I want to take that 2 steps. 1, make sure that it's pinnable, meaning that's interesting. 2nd, then make sure that you're integrated with this part. Then videos hosted on Vimeo currently can't be pinned. YouTube's the only video source that's available these days. And use collaborative boards, kind of like the community boards we talk about, to bring people together. So it could be, you know, the realty group that does Smoky Mountain stuff. It's really hard to get people, unless it's a beautiful house. It's, you know, got a lot of cool stuff about it with good photos. But what you could do is create a community board about people who love the Smoky Mountains, and then they'll see all your stuff. Like, talk about the Smoky Mountains, how great it is, and how they love it, because there's such a huge people that just go crazy about the Smoky Mountains. So that'd be like a collaborative community board that we talked about. Add your products with their prices. We talked about that. You don't have to follow everyone, just the boards with interest you like most. So don't go out and just start following people to follow people. Add buttons and sharing. We keep harping that. Think about the user first. Think about the user first. So if it's not something that's actually adds to them, then don't post it. If it won't add value to them, it's not going to interest them, then don't just put it up to have content up. It's a waste. In fact, it'll hurt you in the end. Develop KPIs to monetize and convert your efforts. All right, no more questions. That'll be it.